news, everyone. Lackey update. Woo! There's also bad news. It's there are some bugs and some things that need to be addressed before you update. So don't stop the video here and go update quick. You're gonna want to see what the changes are beforehand, because there are some things that will kind of help you prepare for doing the update, because there are some things that are that we changed that I think are updates for the better in the long term, but they do require some effort um, to restore everything, or all of the decks that you have already built in Lackey, just to make sure that things are working correctly. And there were some bugs that were anticipated and discussed on Discord, regarding like changing the names of the lost souls. Kind of verified that with a lot of people already, that was the preference. But what I did not foresee is that changing the set column would also have the same effect, and we changed the set column for pretty much every card, because that allows for this other new feature of formats, having a little drop down there that I'll get into later when we actually do the update. I'll be doing the update in this video and walking you guys through how to do that, and then also how to prepare for it beforehand, and then how to restore the decks and stuff afterwards. There's a lot of information in the post here on the forums, which is going to be useful for if you just want to read through it and figure it out. But it doesn't quite include everything because of this unforeseen bug. Basically, it's just because the way that I was testing the new update, I wasn't actually loading in previous decks, because I was just doing it like in its own plugin, basically just making sure that the features worked correctly. I wasn't actually updating my current plugin, so there are some issues with testing like that. I'm not sure if there's a better solution for testing in the future, but hopefully we won't have like big updates like this in the future, because this one should be kind of a little bit of an end all be all. There are some other things that could be changed but aren't as necessary or relevant. Things like just standardizing like brackets versus parentheses for some set identifiers. It's a little annoying in some cases. Like I've noticed with the card bot on the Discord, that can be a little annoying to try to figure out, okay, do I need brackets or parentheses for this card title to get the right set? Maybe there's something that we can do with just that card bot, specific data, maybe fixing it on there, but fixing it in Lackey is a little bit of a hassle because of, well, what we're about to talk about here. So I'm going to go through all of the changes, but I want to start with the highlighted changes, which are the ones that are relevant to pay attention to before you do the update, because they have implications for whether or not you're going to be able to use the same decks or load the same decks that you already have in Lackey. So the first one here is that the name and identifier for the Lost Souls and rotation have been standardized to a single format. Previously, they had been, I guess currently, we can just look at it here. You can see that all the old school, classic format Lost Souls, they all have a pretty standardized format of Lost Soul reference, and then sometimes they'll have either a set identifier or their moniker or whatever, their identifier. So like I can't tell if so speed bump actually says speed bump in the title here in parentheses, because the reference isn't always what comes to mind first when we're thinking about Lost Souls. For the rotation Lost Souls, you can see that it's not very consistent with, we have Lost Soul and then quotation marks with the moniker, then the reference, and then sometimes the set. But then down here we just have Lost Soul with the moniker, and then over in the identifier line you can see that's all messed up too. So most of you are probably familiar with that. Now it's just being standardized so that when you sort the Lost Souls, like if I'm looking for Lost Souls to put into my deck, I can actually find, oh yeah, Awake is going to be towards the top in the A's where I expect, or yeah, and not at the bottom of all these other ones that come first because of they use the quotation marks. So that is going to be easier, but that means that any deck that has any of the Lost Souls whose names changed, which is most of them, just to get it to that same consistent standard, which is the same format that that Curses spreadsheet has. That is going to mean that any decks that use those Lost Souls, those Lost Souls are going to be or need to be re-added after you update, and re-added to those decks after you update, because the way that the deck files work go based off of the name. They also go based off of the set, which is another thing that was changed, as I mentioned. That wasn't something I anticipated. I wasn't exactly sure, or I guess I didn't remember that that's how the deck files were organized. Is that they have the name of the card, but then also the set that it's from, which just distinguishes a little bit further if there are cards with the same name, which there shouldn't be now after this update. There were some, I think it's just one, where Wicked Community and Israel's Rebellion, and Priests, it has a version in Priests and in Israel's Rebellion, and neither of them had a set identifier, and so now Israel's Rebellion version will have IR at the end of Wicked Community. A couple other changes to recent cards are that the name of Zeresh changed to Zeresh, wife of Haman, because that's how she was actually printed. That's what's printed on the cards. Armor Bearer, that was, I think, just kind of a typo. Possibly, well, I guess it's kind of just from the old school version of Armor Bearer, because the old one didn't have a space here, but the new one you can see does on the card image. Armor space bearer, two different words, and so the card data is being changed to match that. And the Zelophehad Sin from Israel's Rebellion had H instead of IR, because there is a version in the H deck, and I think it just got copied to the wrong one. So that has been fixed. And then I also removed the apostrophes and quote marks from cards like He is Risen, Shibboleth, I Am has sent me in today, because while they are kind of trying to quote, like, okay, or this word is a quote, like, He is risen is a quote, that I'm sure a lot of us were recently saying because of Easter, but it's just, as far as like sorting and searching for cards goes, it's just kind of annoying. Like, if I want to go search for He is Risen here, I'm not going to find it. And if I'm just telling someone to search for He is Risen, then I have to tell them, okay, use a quote before you search. But if you want the old version, you have to use an apostrophe. It's just a little obnoxious, I guess. So it just seemed easier to get rid of the punctuation that starting a card. All right, so those are the changes that are highlighted. This other change of adding the official set column should be highlighted as well, technically, because it does have implications for doing the update, and keeping your cards. Yeah, you can still do the update and whatever, and just start building new decks from that. But if you want to keep decks that you already had built, which I imagine most of us do, then you will want to pay attention to this part of the update as well. So what this is adding an official set column, which is now what the set column used to be. So currently the second column here is the set column. So we got Priests, Patriarchs, third edition for the starter decks, Priests, Kings, Warriors. So it just gives the set that the card is from. And all right, sorry, I just sneezed. The set column identifies what set the card is from. That data is going to be moved over to the next column. There's going to be a column inserted here, and it's going to be called official set. The data that's currently in this set column is going to move over there, and then this set column is going to now be a shortened version of the set that also includes some information about it. So the reason that we had to do that is because there are some sets that have cards that are legal in multiple formats, specifically rotation and classic. So if we look at, our promo, you can see that we get all of these, classic promos, all the old card face promos, but then, also that set of promo includes the rotation ones as well. And in order to utilize the format dropdown, which we'll see in the update, you have to, you build those based off of what set the cards are from. So promos, and then Rock of Ages was kind of the main, or the other main offender when it came to this, because we have one tin of Rock of Ages cards that are legal in rotation. So, Foreign Wives, Temple Dedication, Foreign Spearmen, and Scattered, all that. So that is why this change happened. And I'm, right now it's mostly just rotation is kind of the main format that people are building for, but I've the update will include, the Christ block, so like Lineage of Christ, Gospel of Christ, Prophecies of Christ, only formats, also Scroots, LSC only, GOC only. So like, it's kind of small right now, but there's potential for growth. And I think doing the update now for that purpose is best. If there's another rotation at some point, if there's other formats that people come up with, then that's how you're gonna be able to search for those very easily. One that I think was helpful to add is just the Scroots format, because it's just all classic cards and then this one rotation set of roots, and so you can't just there's no easy way to sort that. So anyways, those are kind of the updates, or the things you need to know before updating, and here's how you're going to handle that. So what that's going to require to get your decks back, it does take a little bit of effort, and I apologize for that. I have a lot of decks in Lackey, probably more than the average person, and so it definitely affects me as well. But I think it's just going to be better in the long run. So what you're going to want to do is go to your deck editor, go to browse. Here's all of your decks. I've got a bunch in here, as you can see. But you're going to want to find or go through every single deck that you have. Open it up. So this one is a Disciples deck that I got from Rob Smith when I was featuring one of his games, I think against Justin, on my channel here. I wanted his deck list since I was doing commentary and stuff. And so you're going to want to open up each deck and then click this Export as TXT button. There's no really feedback in Lackey buttons when you click it, so just know that once you click it, something happened. Most likely. You can double check by going back to browse, and now you can see that there's this rob_disciples.txt file. So what this does is it creates a text file with just the card names listed here, and this file is not going to be affected by the update. So this file is going to stay the same. I mean, really your deck file is not going to change either, but your deck is your deck file is what includes the set as well. So this is going to be helpful for loading your decks up again. So I have this robdisciples.txt, and you can see I've got, kind of like 2 copies of pretty much all these other decks in here. You might be, it's probably kind of small font. There's no way for me to make it. Oh, there's a way for me to make it bigger, but I can't make the font bigger. So you can see that I've got like 2 copies or 2 versions of every deck, a .deck file and a .txt file. All the ones that you want to save, make a .txt file before you run the update. Okay, so now I'm going to just hit cancel. I'm going to go over to the plugin section here. I'm going to go paste the Redemption quick Lackey update list.txt thing. If you don't have this auto update URL, you can find it on the forums. Believe it's not on here, but if you just go back to this Redemption Gaming on Lackey CCG, it should be on one of the top posts there. Otherwise, it should still be in there from last time you did it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the install or update. I haven't run this yet to even test it, but should be good. Okay, reload it now. And Lackey crashed. Okay. You just gotta reopen it, I guess. Hmm. Okay, so it seemed like the update worked. Um, I don't see the format thing here though, so that's I'm gonna have to figure out what's up with that. Okay, but anyways, I have the new promos. So like the Glory of the Lord promo is in there. Um, so now let's see if I go to open this robdisciples.deck file. There's only one card that is still in there, and that's the new covenant. It's because it's an IJ card, and so the set is still just IJ plus. That one was easy enough to keep as it is. As you can see, so now the set is it's just like 10A for the 10th anniversary starter deck cards. So now there's this official set column is what it was before, but now there's a set column that's just a lot simpler. I'm gonna have to figure out why the set or the format column isn't there after the update. I don't know if other people are having that issue as well, but I will look into that and probably have a little. You know what? I'll just look into it right now and then splice it on the video. Okay, so I think that the format thing is just a file that needed to be added to the update list file. Like it just the name just needed to be added to that file for in the update list. Anyways, it's something that we're gonna have to take care of on the back end. So hopefully that'll happen soon. We'll have a follow up update for any other bugs. But okay, anyways, that should be available soon. In the meantime, you can still update your cards. So anyways, as you can see, I load the .deck file and the cards don't show up. The deck is pretty much empty. If I load the robdisciples.txt file, you can see I've got 46 out of the 51 cards in here initially. And the cards that are missing are, as we expected, some of the lost souls. So Distressed, Grumbled, Hopper are the only ones that stayed in because they had the correct format already. They were recent enough, I guess. And so what I'm going to do is I can go to Browse, I can do Open Directory, and that'll open up my file explorer or your Finder or whatever it is on Mac. And that will pull up all the decks. I can go here to robdisciples.txt, open the txt file, and that will have a list of all the cards that were in the deck previously or are in the deck. And so now I can go through and find, okay, I need to put in the Humble Lost Soul, I need to put in Darkness, and you can go through and figure out what Lost Souls you're missing. Orphans, Vindicated, Lost Souls, Lost Soul from Roots. So that's how you would go through and rebuild your decks from the Lost Souls, or for the Lost Souls. And if you were running Zelophehad Sin or Wicked Community or Armor Bearer or Zeresh in your deck, you'd have to do that for those as well. Or the He is Risen, Shibboleth, and Today, and the I Am has Sent Me. So if you were doing that, then that's how or if you're running those, that's how you're going to rebuild your decks, get them back to working order. It might be helpful also to remember how many cards were in your deck beforehand, in each of your decks. But I mean, for Lost Souls, you should be able to figure out, okay, this is how many Lost Souls I'm missing. So that one's pretty easy. But for the other cards like Zelophehad Sin and whatnot, like if you weren't running exactly, like if you didn't know that you were running exactly like 50 or 56 cards or something like that, then you might forget, like, oh yeah, there's another card I need to add back in, and it's He is Risen, or it's Zeresh or whatever. So that's how you're going to do that, I guess, how you get your decks back. And I'm probably just going to do it on a case-by-case basis for my decks, like as I'm wanting them for something, or like as I'm about to use them, since going through all of my decks to update them will probably be more, or will require more time than I'd like to give to it. And so maybe you want to do the same. Maybe you want to go through all of your decks. Maybe you haven't built as many as I have or used Lackey for as long as I have. So the other question then is, Jaden, what happens if I've already run the update? I forgot or didn't realize I needed to export to TXT on all my files. I have a solution for that I believe will work. So for example, I've got this, let's see, what was it called? Oh yeah, Prepare to Die. It was a deck that Jeremy had sent me for some, uh, for some game that I was playing for some video. Um, that is currently showing only a couple cards in there, which is a little bit worrisome. So what you're going to want to do is go back to your file explorer here where your Redemption plugin is. You can just get there from where you were with your decks, and you can just go up one folder here. You go over to sets, and then there's your card data file. That's where all of your the information for each of the cards is stored, and that's what was updated. Or what we actually updated in order to change the card names and all that jazz. So you're going to want to get an old version of this from someone on Discord like myself, or anybody who has that. And so what you can do for now is do this one. I'm going to just rename this to card data _ new. And so that is going to be a different file now. Load a different plugin, or maybe just close Lackey and reopen it. Let's try that. So I'm going to go back to the deck editor, and if I try to open, does it let you search that way? No. Okay. Scroll down to Prepare to Die, Jeremy. I'm going to open this deck again. Looks like there was a card missing already for some other reason. I'm not sure why there's only 49 in here. There was something else. Looks like maybe one of the Lost Souls was missing. But anyway, probably Remnant. That one changed at one point. I can't remember when exactly this deck was from. But anyways, if you put the old card data file in there, then you're going to be able to find, like you can see that the official set column is now gone. You're going to be able to load your deck as usual. The rest of the plugin hasn't changed. But if I now go to export as TXT, then you can go in here. You can see I now have another copy of this. It's just the TXT version. Now I'm going to go back to my file explorer. I'm going to delete this, the old card data file. I'm going to go back and rename the new one back to just card data, no space. And then I'm going to close and reopen Lackey again. Loads up the deck editor. Here's set. Here's official set. Go here, Prepare to Die, Jeremy.txt. Open that up. 47 or 42 out of the 49 cards. So it looks like all the Lost Souls are missing. So I'm going to have to go and open up the text file from my decks folder, and then I can find these Lost Souls, add them back in, and then I'll have the deck ready to go again. So that is what you're going to do if you've already run the update, didn't export your decks to TXT. Again, I'm sorry, it's a lot of work, a lot of effort. You're going to want to set aside some time to do this, but it's just kind of like, in place of playing your next game, I guess. And hopefully it will save you time in the future when it comes to deck building, because you can use the formats, you can sort your Lost Souls, other things that are happening with this update. So I believe that is everything or hopefully everything that you'll need to know as far as running the update, getting your decks back together. That's what I'm going to be doing after this for the next little while, I guess, putting some of the decks back together that I want. But here's some of the other updates. We'll talk about the more exciting stuff now. So we got the new promos, the Ark of the Covenant, Banner of Love, Glory of the Lord, let's see, Solomon's Temple, and Judean Mediums and Warrior in Training. Those are all new promos from this year. And then also we got some of the fundraiser cards that were added later on that didn't get added to Lackey right away. So that's Holy Grail, Michael, Dragon Slayer, Red Dragon, the Hebrew and Greek Son of God cards. So if we go in here and search for Son of God, fundraiser. Let's load up these images here. We got the Greek and the Hebrew versions of those. Pretty sweet looking. Let's check out this Holy Grail. I do like the way that this one looks. Oh yeah, got that nice big green background. Pretty cool. And then also we have a new Lost Souls token. So this token, you no longer have to use the heavenly majestic heavens um, tokens for your Lost Souls card. You can use this unofficial. It hasn't been printed on a card like the Harvest token was, but similar to the NT and OT tokens for Majestic Heavens, this is a this is just one that we can use in Lackey in lieu of being able to print things off in Lackey. This is our version of taking this through the printer and cutting them out, I guess. So anyways, you can use these. No longer have to use Q, Jake. I mean, he probably still will, but that's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to putting this in my tokens slot in my decks here. So those are the new cards that were added. Then there were also just some other minor bugs to fix stuff in card data. So things like or just any typos in the data, or just identifiers that were missing, brigades that were missing. I guess white was missing on temple dedication. So thank you to everybody who keeps an eye out for this kind of stuff and puts it on the forums post. And actually the best place to put it is on this forums post, this one specifically. For each Lackey update, just put any bugs you find in the most recent Lackey update post, just because that helps us who help to upkeep the plugin. It helps us keep track of what's been addressed and what still needs to be fixed in the next update. This is the place that we go to look when we're looking for things that need to be fixed. So one of them is I believe just on the Discord today, Jake brought up that the identifier was missing on the early church Damascus site. So that's something that I'm going to add to this post in just a moment after this video here. And that'll be in probably the bug fix patch update to also get the formats dropped down. Kind of disappointed that that's missing, because I really wanted to show that off, because I think that's probably the coolest part of this update. But anyways, also just some other consistency edits, removing hyphens in blank columns, removing Meek has no special ability from token cards, things like that. I guess also the other big one, maybe more relevant here, is everything that was previously DAE or DAC, so dual alignment enhancement or dual alignment character, have been changed to GE/EE and hero/evil character respectively, so that you can search for those. So if we go back to Lackey here now, if I'm wanting to look for just like green good enhancements or something, I can now go into type contains GE and brigade green, and I'm going to get dual alignment enhancements as well. Apparently I'm also still going to get the multi-brigade evil characters from roots as good enhancements. Apparently that didn't get fixed in whatever the other update was. So anyways, another thing to add. The more you know, the more you see. All right, so things like hope, that was already added, but right now it's sorted by, so now if I go down here to the good enhancements, or the dual alignment enhancements, those are going to show up now if I'm sorting by type contains GE. Previously they would not. So I think that's just a little bit easier for building your deck. You want to see, okay, what green enhancements do I have that I could play on this hero? You're not always going to see those with, or you wouldn't have seen those if you were just looking for GE. You'd have to do a separate search for dual alignment enhancements, and if you're like me, a lot of times you might forget about that and not realize that there's a really good dual alignment enhancement that you could be using. So anyway, the formats update, I already talked a lot about that, and it's not even there. A little bit disappointing, but basically what it's going to be is in this area right here next to the quick search, there's just going to be a little drop down box. You can click that and then select rotation. You can select scroots, GOC only, LOC only, those formats that any format that has been like somewhat defined based on sets that you can use, or like cards from sets that you can use. That is going to be in there, and that will, will be updated as more sets or formats like that are created. So I think that that's a good kind of future proofing addition and a cool feature that Lackey has that we hadn't been utilizing up until now. So I was excited to be able to find a way to make that work. It was a little clunky and having to add this official set column, so adding a whole nother column in the data for that is a little annoying, but the fact that it shrinks this other set column isn't all that, it makes it so it's not all that big of a deal. That's why I just use abbreviations here, like trying to shorten the set name as much as possible so that that column doesn't take up a whole lot of space. And then lastly, the other exciting part, or at least that I find exciting, is changing up or fixing, I guess adding to the pack definitions. A lot of people probably don't even know how this works. I haven't done any videos really lately doing like a draft or a sealed or anything in Lackey. But if you go over to the card pool tab over here in the bottom of your deck editor, then there's this option to add a pack or random deck. And this is what you would do if you wanted to do a booster draft or something on Lackey, which isn't as painful as it sounds. Maybe I'll do another video with that soon now that we have all of these available. What these are just all of the rotation sets that are now available with Roots cards. So if I want to load up a Fall of Man pack with Roots in it, I can go Fall of Man with Roots, do choose, and that will give me one of each card. Man, that's awkward. Does that do that for all of them? Your future Jaden. All right. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but I closed, reopened Lackey. Actually, maybe I didn't even do that. I just restarted, or I loaded a different plugin and then loaded the Redemption plugin again, and now it seems like it's working. So what it's supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to get when we clicked on this Fall of Man with Roots pack after doing Adamant pack, is we're supposed to get 5 Fall of Man cards, 5 Roots cards. Now it seems like the packs are working normally. I don't know what was going on before, but yeah, some kind of bug. Maybe it had to do with the fact that I'd like changed the card data file like manually or in the files. It didn't really like that for some reason. I don't know. So if you have that issue, I guess now you know. It was something that I'm glad I was able to experience, so that I can make sure that it gets fixed here. So if you have that issue, just load a different plugin or close and reopen Lackey, then try it, load a different plugin, and then reload the Redemption plugin, something like that, and then it should work. You should be able to just keep on adding packs. It's just like, just opening packs in real life, except they're on Lackey and you don't actually get the cards, but there's still a little bit of thrill there, right? Then you can do some booster draft on Lackey if you've ever tried that out. I've got 1 or 2 videos of doing it on Lackey or on YouTube somewhere. So if you want to check that out, it is kind of fun. You get a few people together, do a draft. But anyways, that is it. Again, a little disappointed I didn't get to show off the format function. But it should be there in the bug patch update or whatever, kind of the spring 2024 update 2.0 or 1.1, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, that is going to be it for this video, I think. Hopefully that was all the information you needed. You can, even though the formats thing isn't there, don't be afraid to do the update. The formats change won't affect anything with your decks or whatever. So if you follow the steps that I mentioned earlier about saving or exporting and reloading your decks, fixing them, getting them all back to working Lackey order, then you should be able to go forward with confidence. And the format update shouldn't have any sort of effect on your decks or whatever. So that'll just kind of come a little more normally, or as a little more normal of an update. But okay, that's where we're going to wrap things up. Thanks everybody for watching. Now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled Thursday programming.